This is like the 5th time I've tried to record this video. Don't ask why. But anyway, today we're going to be doing a review of Dead Boy Detectives. So, if you've ever heard of Dead Boy Detectives, spoilers, they're dead, they're boys, and they're detectives. It came out a couple months ago, it's a new show. So the whole point of the show is that like they solve crimes for like ghosts who want clarity, like if they want to know who killed them, if they want to know what happened to their family, if they want to find one of their family members that's went missing, or if they want to get back to the afterlife, things like that. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, there's a lot more to the show than that, but we're gonna get into it here. So let's get started. Okay, we're gonna start with the characters. Obviously, the protagonists, the dead boys themselves, are called Edwin Payne and Charles Rowland. Edwin died in 1916, and Charles died in 1994. We will get into why they died, don't worry. There's also Crystal. She's a psychic, and she can see ghosts, so she ended up being friends with them and is helping them, obviously, like, yeah. We also have Nico. She can also see the ghosts, but I'll get into why in a second. And then there's Jenny, and I have a lot to say about Jenny. I have a lot to say about all of them, but don't worry. All in good time. Oh, it gets crazy. You do not understand. Okay. But yeah, let's get into those things. Okay, to start with though, the imagery in the show is dark. Like, in the first episode, like, they have to, like, help this, like, World War One army, like, ghost, and he's been, like, corrupted or something. I don't actually know. And he literally spits blood, like, out of his mouth onto Charles's face, and it's like, oh my god, that is disturbing. And like, I loved it so much. Like, horror's not one of my favorite genres, but like, I do like some horrors, like the kind of stuff like Coraline is. I like that, and this is horror done right for me. Like, yeah, I like that a lot. That was so funny. It was gross, but it was funny. There's a lot of other dark things as well. Like, oh my god, like, I can't even with all the dark imagery, but you're just gonna have to go watch it to find out, I guess. Also, about Edwin and Charles's relationship, you're probably wondering, Edwin likes boys. Yes, he does. Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? But the thing is, because he died in 1916, he was kind of in a time where, like, no one knew that boys could like each other, you know? Or that they had to repress it because it was literally illegal. But yeah, he grew up in, like, that time where it was legal, so he doesn't know what it's like to be in love with a boy. And spoilers, yes, he's in love with Charles, but Charles isn't in love with him yet. There is still time. I kind of like that they didn't end up together at the end of the season, though. Like, you know, after all that, I think that would have been forced. But yeah, I really do hope that they end up together. I'm sure they will. Like, I don't see why they wouldn't. But I am very excited to find out. And I also need to add, the actors that play them actually did fall in love in real life. Like, not even like a anyways, I wonder if these two actors are dating or like a rumor. No, they actually did. So, yeah. What does that tell you? Okay, now we're going to talk about Crystal. The reason she met the boys. So one of her ghost friends was like, you know, my psychic friend who can see ghosts, something's wrong with her. I think she's been possessed by a demon. So, yeah. Crystal's ex is a demon. Yeah. His name is David the demon. He possessed her and caused her to be evil. Well, I mean, kinda, we'll get into that. But that's how they met her. They went to, like, perform an exorcism, and they got David out of her. That's what I'm getting at there. But he took some of her memories, and she couldn't remember her past. She only remembered her name and that she's a psychic, basically. That's all she remembered, literally. But yeah, she ended up helping the boys after that because they got a case to find a missing child in this town, and they went to the town. The ghosts can travel through mirrors, but humans can't, obviously. So they had to take a boat to this town, and then they get trapped in the town, but I'll get there, don't worry. And that's how they meet Nico and Jenny, who I'll also get into soon. But yeah, that's how that happened. Now, I want to talk about a certain character. He kind of is not a good person, but I like him a lot. His name is the Cat King. Yes, the Cat King. He's the king of cats, in case you didn't tell by his name. Now, he can, like, shapeshift into a human as well, so, you know, obviously, to hide that he's the king of cats. Now, the thing is, he kind of has an infatuation with Edwin, to a creepy extent, really, and he traps Edwin in the town, so he can't leave for mirrors or anywhere, by putting a bracelet on him that only he can unlock, and he basically says, I'll unlock it if you do me. Like, he didn't say that, but that's basically what he said. Yeah, so, yeah. He also said he could count all the cats in the town, which, like, Edwin actually did try to do, but I have a feeling he wasn't being serious about that. I kind of feel like that was a trick. So, I do like the Cat King, but that was a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember his name. I wrote Walrus Man on the script. That's so funny. So yeah, Walrus Man. runs a magic shop. He can see ghosts too, and I'll explain why. He used to be a walrus, but then he got cursed and became a human, so now he has to spend basically the rest of his life as a human, because, so it shows you his backstory. His flashbacks animated as well, and it was so cool, I loved it. But yeah, his backstory is basically, that he used to live with Lilith, the first woman, also from Hazbin Hotel as well. Not the same depiction of Lilith, but, like, the same, like, inspiration. Yeah. So him and the other walruses lived with Lilith in the ocean, but then he wanted to leave the ocean, and because of that, Lilith cursed him to be a human. So, yeah. Now he's a human, and he sells magic stuff to people, which is pretty funny. He helps the boys in Crystal a lot, though, which I appreciate. He's not a bad character. He even, like, stops the villain from creating this machine. Well, he doesn't stop her, but he doesn't sell her the items that she needs. So, yeah, pretty good character. I like him. I hope he gets more development, though, and I hope he becomes a walrus again, because that's a shame. Okay, I'm going to talk about Nico now. I love Nico. Nico is, like, that one character who's like, everything's pink and lovely, but you're all gonna die. Name that reference. Anyway. Nico is, like, at first, when, what's her name, Crystal meets her, she sees, like, a bunch of colors and like, patterns? Yeah, patterns. I wonder what that's a reference to. But, yeah. It turns out that Nico has been possessed by dandelion sprites. I'm not gonna lie, the dandelion sprites are the funniest characters in the whole show. Like, they just insult everyone around them, and it is so funny. I feel like I recognize their actors, though, but I haven't checked who they are. So, they have to perform an exorcism on her as well to get those little bastards out of her. And they do, and because of that, her hair turns white. And they just keep the little ones in the jar for the remainder of the show, and it's so funny. But then Nico, after that, can see the ghost because of that, and she doesn't think Crystal's just crazy. And then she ends up being, like, an ally to them and helps them, and it's really cool. I like it. Even Edwin grows close to Nico as well, which I like. Okay, I'm not going to talk about what happened to her yet, but I am going to talk about Jenny real quick. Yeah, Jenny's cool. I don't like that she's a butcher, though. If you know me, then you know why. But, yeah, that's a bit, like, ew. The scene where her chopping the dead animal up, that was disgusting. Like, it was. But, aside from that, she's cool. I love her tattoos so much. She's got a big butterfly on her throat. Like, that's awesome. But, yeah, like, she's, like, not really, like, a main character, because, like, she's just Crystal and Nico's landlord. Hang on. Sorry. Yeah, she's just their landlord, and they live in the rooms above her butcher shop. And something happens to her, which I'll get into soon, but just wait. At the end, she ends up seeing the ghost because she gets possessed by David the demon, and then, because she was possessed, she can see demons and ghosts now, which is cool and all, but still. She thinks they're just crazy at first and doesn't even question why they don't go to school, because apparently they are teenagers, but, yeah, she doesn't do any of that because she doesn't care. She doesn't care that they always talk to themselves or any of that. It's really cool. Actually, I need to add about Nico as well. Her dad is dead, and her mom lives in Japan, and she doesn't see her that often, and she doesn't open letters to her either. So, yeah. Alright, I'm going to talk about the witch now. Her name is Esther. She's kind of cool. I like her. I like how she just doesn't give a hell about anything. So, she has to feed her giant snake children to stay young forever, because she basically sold her soul to Lilith to be immortal, but she still ages, which, that is kind of like, if you're gonna be immortal, at least make me not age, So, she has to do that. The feeding the children to her snake somehow makes her young still, I don't know. But because they saved the child, the missing child, from the snake, she ends up having a vendetta against them, so she turns her crow, because, that's her familiar, into a human boy, to seduce Edwin and try and get them into the forest to make them disappear, which, that does kind of work, but they end up, Crystal ends up, connecting to her past lives, well, her ancestors, and they all have their psychic ability, and, yeah, then she ends up, telling the mushroom that tries to eat them, yeah, they almost get eaten by a mushroom, that he doesn't have to listen to her, so she doesn't eat them, and then because of that, she turns her crow back into a human, because he ended up, being on their side and ended up falling in love with Edwin, which was yeah, that actually did happen. Spoiler alert. Actually, I'm not gonna spoil that. I'm gonna keep that as a surprise. Never mind. So, yeah. I think I have down here where her defeat is, so I'll get into that in a little bit. Also, Edwin and Charles are actually on the run from death, because if death catches them, Charles will have to go to his afterlife, because he hasn't been yet, and Edwin will have to go back to hell. Now, I'm gonna explain that. Technically, he shouldn't be in hell, because a bunch of bullies in his school, as a joke, tried to sacrifice him to a demon, and it ended up actually working, and they all got sent to hell. And the demon was like, sorry, I gotta take you. So, yeah, he spent some time in hell, but then he escaped hell, and that's why he does the Dead Boy Detective Agency. Because even though he's technically dead, he technically didn't die, and he's just a wandering ghost. Like, technically, that's true. He doesn't actually have a body, because he was taken to hell. So, yeah. That's actually quite a weird one, actually. So, yeah, he's on the run from death, and if he goes back to hell, then he'll obviously, like, suffer. And it's not really fair, because he didn't ask to be there. He didn't do anything. Literally didn't do anything wrong. He was just sacrificed by a bunch of bullies. The bullies are also in hell, though, so that's funny. But yeah, that's kind of all that. I think I should explain Charles's death as well. He died from hypothermia, yeah, because a bunch of bullies threw him in a lake and were throwing rocks at him, and then he tried to run away. And then his dad whipped him with his belt. Yeah, that happened. His dad is abusive. And then then actually, because he was so close to death, he could see, Edwin, and Edwin was in the attic of the school, and they became close, and then that's when he died. And Edwin was like, you should stay here and find death. I'm on my way. And he was like, I'm not going anywhere, mate. And then they were like, well, I guess we're stuck together then. And then that's how the Dead Boy Agency was born. Yeah. So that's how they died. I hope I explained that properly. But you can just watch the show and find out if I didn't. Also, I don't actually know her name, but there's a Scottish lady in the show. That made me laugh. So she's not deaf, but what she does, she has an important role in the afterlife, actually. She, looks for lost souls, technically this is lost souls of children, to find out their places. But then she finds Edwin and Charles. Edwin punches her right in the face with a metal ball, and she gets eaten by a fish, like a big huge fish. And there's someone living in the fish, I don't actually remember his name. And then, like, he gives her one of his rings and then asks the fish to let her out, and she does. And then she's about to take them to their afterlife, but then he's like, Edwin shouldn't be in hell. And then she's like, she reads her book and she's like, oh, I see here, okay. Okay, what I'll do is I'll bring you both to the afterlife, and you can stay together still, and we'll get that sorted. And then, spoilers, the demons hear that Edwin is there, and they come back and drag him down to hell. I will get into that, don't worry. And the Scottish lady lets Charles go after him, but then she's like, but once you're back up, you're coming back with me, or you're staying in hell. And then Nico actually saved them, because she was reading her book while they were waiting, and she was like, but according to this page, you have to, like, run some paperwork, because they were in another world. And then she was like, don't go far, and then went downstairs to the afterlife and was annoyed. And then I'm actually going to talk about this bit. In, like, the last episode, she gets her superior to them, and obviously, like, they have to listen to her, because she's her superior. And then the superior's like, you know what? I actually like what you're doing up here. You can stay up here. And the Scottish lady is like, what? And then she's like, and you can stay here to chaperone them. And then, now she has to stay with them, and that's so funny. And she can't do anything, because her boss told her that it's okay for them to be up there. So, that's cool. So that sets up for season 2 pretty well. Yes, now we need to talk about what happened to Jenny. I don't want to, because it makes me really uncomfortable, and some people actually are like this. How do I even word this? So, Jenny has a secret admirer, and it's cute at first, like someone's just sending her letters, and it's nice. Then Nico sees her post the letter, the secret admirer, and follows her, and it turns out that it's the librarian that Nico is actually close with. Her name is Maxine. So she actually sets Maxine and Jenny up on a date, and it turns out they have a lot in common, and it's going well, until Maxine reveals that she's been watching her the whole time, watching her, like, with binoculars in the alleyway, and, like, seeing what her favorite things are and writing them down in a diary and keeping a journal of it. Yeah, this is real. This actually happened. And then, knowing so they can have things in common. And when Jenny finds out about this, obviously she's like, oh my god, get the hell away from me. I don't want to see you again. And then Maxine is like, alright, well, it's time for me to start over. And she grabs, like, because obviously she's a butcher, so she grabs Jenny's, like, thing, her axe, and is about to kill her. And it's like, oh my god, what is happening right now? I was so scared, because I did not see this coming. And then it gets worse. So Jenny runs away in the back, like, where all the meat is. I don't know if she planned this or not, but she's hiding behind this, like, thing of sausages. And Maxine's like, where are you? And then she's like, pulls the sausages back and it's like, there you are! And then she's about to kill her, but then she slips and lands on one of those, like, spikes that they use to, like, keep the meat up, and goes right for her freaking skull, and she dies. And it's like, oh my god, what the hell just happened there? So yeah, yeah. This show is serious, okay? Like, I'm kind of glad that they did it with a female character, though, showing that not just men are stalkers. Like, that's important to know. And even men can be stalked as well, but for some reason, like, people are like, no, they can't. Like, yeah, they can. Obviously, male stalkers are more common, but still. But yeah, I also should say that Maxine did make a cameo when Charles went to hell to save Edwin, and she was like to Charles, why am I down here? What did I do? What do you think you did? Like, that was the most scariest part, though. The fact that she actually thought that she was in the right. Like, what? What just happened here? Like, I'm so scared. Okay, I think I talked about it before. I think I mentioned it, but I want to talk about the animated segments. They were really cool. They were the highlights of the show, definitely. Like, the first animated one was the Walrus Man's, like, what's it called? Flashback, yeah. Talking about how he became a human. And then the other one, I think, was from the Cat King, yeah. Telling the story about how Esther got her powers. And I explained that already, but they were really cool. I love the way they were animated. Like, I love, when live action shows do animated segments. It's really cool. Like, I mean, obviously animation is the best form of media ever, obviously, but that was, like, cool that they did it in the live action. Like, that was cool. I like that. I don't have much else to say, so let's just move on. Okay, so once, the witch's original plan with the mushroom fails, she tries to build this machine, which I hinted about. Basically, she's gonna hook one of the ghosts to it and use them as an eternal battery to stay young forever. This actually happened. So she changed Edwin to the machine, and she put, I should have mentioned this, but ghosts can't touch iron because it burns them. She put iron chains around Charles so he couldn't get away, and she drained all of the life out of Edwin so she could, stay immortal forever. And then Crystal and Nico come to save her, obviously. Save them, obviously. And, obviously since Crystal is also a psychic, she has powers as well, and they were fighting. But then, Nico's trying to unlock the padlock that Edwin's in without her seeing. But then she sees it, and she literally kills Nico. So I will get into that, but Nico died. That was quite a shame, actually. But what happened after that? Yeah, Monty, as a crow, decided to help them. So he grabbed, Charles has a backpack that has unlimited space in it, like it's a portal backpack. So he grabs the backpack for Charles, and then he opens it and unlocks himself, and then he has to go down and kill the snake, because if he kills the snake, then Esther won't be immortal anymore. So kills the snake, blah blah blah. She turns super old, Esther, and then Lilith comes and literally drags her away by her feet. Like Lilith is dragging this old woman away, and that is so funny. Because obviously, she has to be immortal, but the way she's doing it, it goes against what Lilith's contract kind of was, because she's literally killing children to stay young. So yeah, that was the end of that. I don't know if she'll be back in season 2 or not, but that was the end of Esther for now. But I don't know if Monty will turn back into a human. We'll have to wait and see. Alright, I talked about them for a little bit, but I want to mention Crystal's ancestors as well. They were really cool. I love them. I also mention, though, when they have their visions or read someone's mind, their eyes turn white, and that was horrible. If you didn't know this about me, I am terrified of eyes. Like, they scare me so much. I don't like them. But, so I had to look away every time that this happened, because it was really disturbing to me. But, yeah, they have psychic powers, too, and, also she trapped Dave the Demon in there as well, and, I guess it's kind of her, subconscious. There's a big tree there. The tree represents her life, and all of her ancestors are, living under the tree. It's quite nice. So, when she goes there, she, unlocks more powers, and then she, buries David in there. And then it turned out that the body that David was actually being possessed the whole time. I didn't see that coming. So, yeah, that was pretty cool as well. Although, the ancestors did warn her that she can't keep Dave there forever, because it's not good for the tree. So, I think I might know what that means, but we'll see, I guess. Okay, we also go down to Hell as well, and Hell is horrible, okay? So they do the Rings of Hell, which, I think you know what the Rings of Hell are by now, and they were disturbing, oh my god. So, the Gluttony Ring, oh my god, it made me feel so sick, was just full of a bunch of people stuffing your faces with, cake and sweets, and then being sick everywhere, and it was oh my god, that is horrible. And then they go for the Lust Ring, and this was probably my least favorite. I'm not even showing a picture of it because I don't even want to see it again, but, like, it was a big orgy in a room full of, like, meat. Like, I can't even make this up. That is, thinking about it right now makes me ill. Like, but I'm gonna stop talking about it right there. So, yeah. That was what the hell looked like. But there's also a mirror room, and there was a demon in there as well, and she said, like, I can see everything. I don't know who she was. But yeah. But there was also another thing, and this was probably the most disturbing thing in the show. It was a demon that I said took Edwin down to hell. It's a freaking giant spider made of doll heads. Like, oh my god. It reminds me of the thing from Sid's room in Toy Story. Like, oh my god. This was disturbing. Like, that was a really disturbing image. Like, yeah. Okay, so with Crystal, she gets her memories back when she buries David the demon, but turns out that she wasn't really a great person in the past. In fact, she finds out who her parents are and she phones them, and they didn't even realize she was missing. They were just thought that she needed money. And then they just, like, stopped talking to her and she hung up. So, she didn't like what she saw in her past, but as long as she can change who she is now, that's really all that matters, isn't it? You know? Oh, so I forgot to mention that her and Charles actually did kiss, but Ghost can't feel kiss, so yeah, that was that. I forgot to mention that, I just thought I'd quickly mention it there. Oh yeah, I think I said I think I said David possessed Jenny? Yeah, and that's how she can end up seeing the boys at the end. Yeah, I feel like I should quickly mention that as well. Also, about Nico's death, the Walrus Man gave her like a little lucky crystal bear, and she was holding it when she died, but then it ends with like her in an igloo with like, I think it's the dandelion sprites, yeah. Because they disappeared as well. But yeah, it ends with her in an igloo. So, I don't know if she's dead or if she has got away, but definitely something going on there. Like, I can tell that she's going to come back, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, I think I'm going to end that there because this video is getting long. Overall, I kind of rate the show an 8 out of 10. Like, it had some disturbing things that kind of, like, take it down for me. But it didn't have that many flaws, you know? Is it as good as Heartstopper? Absolutely not. Nothing ever will be. But I just enjoy the series quite a lot. I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially to those who love horror and love ghosts. I think it's worth a watch. And it's even a really good Halloween show to watch if you like, you know, in October time, really. If you want to save it for October, definitely do that. There's a lot I didn't mention as well. Like, I didn't mention any of the cases because I kind of didn't think they were worth mentioning because, like, I already said that it's about two ghosts who are detectives, so didn't think it was worth mentioning all the cases they do. But that's a nice surprise for you to find out when you watch it, I guess. But if you have seen it, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. And please like and subscribe. And also, let me know what you thought of my finale, because I haven't actually seen you all in a while. Because the last few videos have been pre-recorded, as you can tell. But that's where I'm going to leave it. I'll see you next time. Bye!